Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me say this. I appreciate y'all being here today because let's be honest. Some folks don't want to hear about self-improvement. Some folks are just fine staying the same, doing the same things, complaining about the same problems, and wondering why their life ain't changing. But not y'all. Y'all showed up, which means you're looking for something better. You want growth. And that's the first step. Your mindset is the foundation of everything you do. If you wake up every morning already feeling defeated, already expecting the worst, already telling yourself you can't do it, then guess what? You're going to get exactly what you expect. Your mind is a powerful thing, and if you allow negativity to take control, it will shape your reality in ways you don't even realize. Some people walk around wondering why their life never changes, why they keep struggling, why things never seem to go their way. But if you listen to how they talk, you'll find the answer real quick. They wake up saying, man, today's going to be rough. They go to work saying, I can't stay in this job. They look at their bank account and say, I'm always broke. And then at the end of the day, they sit back and say, see, I told you. But they don't realize they spoke all of that into existence. Life will give you what you ask for. If you keep calling trouble, trouble will come. If you keep expecting failure, failure will find you. If you keep saying you can't, you won't. It's that simple. Now, I know some people hear this and say, well, that's just being realistic. Let me tell you something. Being realistic has never changed anybody's life. Being realistic has never made anyone successful. Being realistic keeps you exactly where you are. You got to start thinking bigger. You got to start expecting better. You got to start speaking life into your situation instead of death. The words you say, the thoughts you think, the attitudes you carry, it all matters. If you want to change your life, you got to change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of waking up saying, I don't feel like going to work, wake up and say, thank God I got a job. Instead of looking at your problems and saying, why me? Start saying, this is just a challenge I'm going to overcome. Instead of complaining about what you don't have, start being grateful for what you do. Gratitude shifts your whole perspective. It puts you in a mindset of abundance instead of lack. And when you operate from a place of abundance, you start attracting better things into your life. Some of y'all don't even realize how powerful your words are because you've been speaking the wrong ones for so long. You've been saying, I'll never be successful. I'll never get out of debt. I'll never lose this weight. And you don't realize that your brain is listening. Your brain believes what you tell it. If you keep reinforcing negativity, your brain will find ways to prove you right. But if you start telling yourself, I am capable, I will succeed, I am worthy of good things, then your brain starts looking for ways to make those things happen. Now, this ain't some magic trick. It doesn't mean you say positive words today and wake up rich tomorrow. But what it does mean is that over time, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you show up in the world will start to change. And when that happens, opportunities start coming your way that you never even saw before. When you shift your mindset, you open doors you didn't even know existed. But let's be real, it's not always easy. Some of y'all grew up in environments where negativity was the norm. Maybe you had people telling you your whole life that you wouldn't be nothing. Maybe you were surrounded by people who complained about everything, who blamed the world for their problems, who never believed in themselves. And now you've picked up those habits without even realizing it. That's not your fault, but staying in that mindset is your choice. At some point, you have to decide that you're not going to let your past dictate your future. At some point, you have to take control of the way you think and start rewriting your story. You don't have to wait for some big event to start thinking differently. You don't have to wait for life to get easier before you decide to have a better attitude. You can start right now, today, in this very moment. The next time a negative thought comes into your head, catch it. Replace it with something better. The next time you feel like complaining, stop yourself and find something to be grateful for instead. The next time you're about to say, I can't, change it to, I will figure this out. This ain't about ignoring reality. This ain't about pretending everything is perfect. This is about taking control of the one thing you do have power over, your mind. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't always change your circumstances overnight, but you can change the way you think about them. And when you change your thoughts, your actions start to follow. And when your actions change, your results change. It all starts with your mindset. Self-improvement is not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about taking small steps every single day. The biggest mistake people make when they try to better themselves is thinking they have to do everything at once. They want to go from broke to wealthy, from unhealthy to fit, from lost to successful, all in one giant leap. But life doesn't work that way. The people who succeed, the people who truly grow, understand that progress is built brick by brick, step by step. The secret to becoming better is consistency, not perfection. Too many people wait for the perfect time to start. They wait until Monday, the first of the month, the new year, or until everything in their life is lined up just right. But there is no perfect time. There's only right now. Every single day is an opportunity to move forward, even if it's just by a little bit. You don't need to take massive action all at once. You just need to be better today than you were yesterday, even if it's by the smallest amount. That's how real change happens. The problem is most people don't see progress fast enough, so they quit. They start eating healthy, but after a week, the scale doesn't move, so they give up. They start reading books, but after a month, they don't feel any different, so they stop. They start working on their goals, but because they don't see immediate success, they think it's not working. What they don't realize is that improvement is like planting a seed. You don't see anything at first. It's underground, growing roots, building a foundation. And if you quit watering it too soon, you'll never get to see the results. Small steps compound over time. Doing one push-up a day might not seem like much, but in a year, that's 365 push-ups. Reading just 10 pages a day doesn't feel like a lot, but in a year, you finish multiple books. Saving just a little money every week might not seem life-changing, but over time, it builds. The problem is, most people underestimate the power of small actions. They think if they're not making huge moves, they're not making any progress at all. But success isn't about going big once. It's about showing up consistently. Some people tell themselves, well, I don't have time. But everybody has time for what they make a priority. You don't need 3 hours a day to work on yourself. You just need to start where you are with what you have and do what you can. If you don't have an hour to work out, do 10 minutes. If you don't have time to read a whole book, read a page. If you don't have the energy to make big changes, make small ones. It all adds up. Excuses are easy, but improvement requires effort. And the truth is, it's not always going to be fun. Growth is uncomfortable. It's frustrating. It requires discipline. There will be days when you don't feel like it, days when you want to quit, days when it seems pointless. But that's when it matters most. Anybody can be motivated for a day or a week, but the ones who succeed are the ones who keep going even when they don't feel like it. They understand that progress isn't always visible right away. One of the most powerful things you can do is track your progress. Sometimes People don't realize how far they've come because they're too focused on how far they have to go. But when you look back and see that you're doing better today than you were last month, last year, or even last week, it reminds you that the process is working. Improvement isn't about reaching a destination. It's about moving in the right direction. People also make the mistake of comparing themselves to others. They look at someone who's ahead of them and feel discouraged, but you don't know their story. You don't know how long they've been working, how many failures they've had, how many small steps they've taken to get where they are. The only person you should be competing with is who you were yesterday. If you're improving even just a little, then you're on the right path. Your habits shape your future. The things you do daily matter more than the things you do once in a while. If you focus on small steps every day, you'll look up one day and realize how far you've come. The key is not to let the lack of immediate results discourage you. You have to trust the process, keep going, and understand that every effort, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to where you want to be. Consistency is the key that separates the successful from the unsuccessful. It's not about talent, luck, or having the perfect plan. It's about showing up every single day and doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Most people get excited in the beginning. They start with passion, motivation, and big goals, but the moment things get tough or they don't see results fast enough, they give up. They think success is about making huge, dramatic changes overnight, but the truth is, it's built through small, repeated actions over time. The people who achieve their goals are the ones who stay consistent, even when they don't see progress right away. They understand that improvement is a long game. A bodybuilder doesn't get strong from working out once. A writer doesn't create a masterpiece by writing one page. A successful business isn't built in a day. It's all about showing up day after day, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Those small daily efforts compound over time and lead to massive results. One of the biggest mistakes people make is relying on motivation. Motivation is great, but it comes and goes. Some days you wake up feeling fired up, ready to take on the world. Other days you don't want to do anything at all. If you only work towards your goals when you feel like it, you'll never reach them. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. The people who win in life are the ones who do what needs to be done, whether they're in the mood or not. Some people start strong but quit as soon as they hit obstacles. They go to the gym for a few weeks but stop when they don't see results. They start a business but give up when they don't make money right away. They work on themselves but quit when they don't see instant changes. Success doesn't work like that. You have to be willing to stick with it through the hard times. You have to trust the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who keep going despite the struggles. The best way to stay consistent is to create habits that support your goals. You don't have to rely on willpower if you have systems in place. If you want to get in shape, make exercise a non-negotiable part of your routine. If you want to improve your mindset, read or listen to something positive every day. If you want to achieve financial success, set a habit of saving and managing your money wisely. When something becomes a habit, you do it automatically without overthinking or making excuses. A lot of people set big goals but fail because they don't break them down into daily actions. You don't lose 50 pounds overnight, but you can commit to eating healthy today. You don't become a millionaire overnight, but you can start by managing the money you have better. You don't build confidence overnight, but you can start by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit each day. The key is to focus on what you can do today instead of getting overwhelmed by how far you have to go. Excuses will always be there if you look for them. There will always be a reason to put things off. There will always be distractions trying to pull you away from what you need to do. But if you let excuses control you, you'll stay exactly where you are. The most successful people aren't the ones with the most time, the best circumstances, or the easiest path. They're the ones who show up and do the work no matter what. There will be days when you don't feel like it, days when you're tired, days when you're discouraged, days when you question whether it's even worth it. That's when it matters the most. Anyone can be consistent when things are easy. But real growth happens when you push through the tough days. Every time you show up despite the resistance, you get stronger. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build self-respect. And over time, that consistency turns into results. The people you surround yourself with have a direct impact on your mindset, your habits, and your future. You might not realize it, but the energy, attitudes, and behaviors of the people around you influence the way you think and act every single day. If you spend time with negative, lazy, or unmotivated people, their mindset will start to rub off on you. If you're constantly around people who complain, make excuses, and blame the world for their problems, it won't be long before you start doing the same thing. But if you surround yourself with driven, positive, and successful people, you will naturally start to think and act like them. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life is because they are surrounded by the wrong crowd. They hold on to relationships that drain them. They stay in circles where growth is not encouraged. They listen to people who tell them their dreams are too big or their goals are unrealistic. And because they hear these things so often, they start to believe them. If you want to elevate your life, you have to be willing to evaluate your circle. Take a look at the people you spend the most time with and ask yourself, are they pushing me forward or holding me back? If you are the most motivated, the most ambitious, and the hardest working person in your group, that's a problem. You should be in a circle that challenges you to do better. Some people feel guilty about outgrowing certain relationships, but growth requires change. It doesn't mean you have to cut people off completely or stop loving them. It just means you have to be intentional about the energy you allow into your life. If someone constantly brings negativity, doubt, or drama, you have to limit your exposure to that energy. Protecting your mindset is just as important as working hard. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you're constantly surrounded by people who drain you, doubt you, or discourage you, it will be much harder to stay focused and motivated. Success leaves clues. If you want to improve in any area of your life, find people who are already where you want to be and learn from them. If you want to be successful in business, spend time around people who are business-minded. If you want to get in shape, surround yourself with people who value health and fitness. If you want to have a strong mindset, listen to people who speak life and positivity. The people you associate with will either lift you higher or pull you down. Sometimes the people closest to you won't understand your journey. They might not support your goals, they might laugh at your ambitions, and they might even try to talk you out of chasing your dreams. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded people who believe in growth, who support your vision, and who push you to be better. You don't have to wait for the right people to come to you. Go find them. Join communities, attend events, read books from successful people, listen to podcasts that inspire you, fill your mind and your environment with the kind of energy you want to attract. One of the most dangerous things you can do is keep people in your life just because of history. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they are good for your future. Just because someone has been part of your life for a long time doesn't mean they should have access to you forever. Growth requires making hard choices. It requires recognizing when certain relationships no longer serve you and having the courage to create distance. When you surround yourself with the right people, everything in your life changes. You become more motivated. You start thinking bigger. You develop better habits. You begin to see new possibilities because the people around you inspire you to aim higher. The right circle will hold you accountable, encourage you when you feel like giving up, and remind you of your potential when you doubt yourself. The wrong circle will drain your energy, fill your mind with doubt, and keep you stuck in the same place. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more but couldn't quite figure out why you weren't making progress, take a look at the people around you. Pay attention to the conversations you're having. Are they about ideas, opportunities, and growth, or are they about gossip, complaints, and excuses? Are the people around you pushing you to be better, or are they comfortable staying the same and expecting you to do the same? These are the questions you have to ask yourself if you're serious about improving your life. Excuses will always be available, but they will never move you forward. Every single day, people talk themselves out of opportunities, success, and growth because they allow excuses to take control. They say they don't have enough time, but they waste hours on distractions. They say they don't have enough money, but they spend on things that don't serve them. They say they don't have enough experience, but they refuse to start where they are. Excuses sound good in the moment, but in the end, they keep you exactly where you are. People often convince themselves that their excuses are valid. They blame their past, their circumstances, their upbringing, or even other people for why they aren't where they want to be. But there is always someone who started with less and still found a way. There is always someone who had every reason to quit but kept going anyway. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or resources. It's mindset. The people who succeed refuse to let excuses define them. They find solutions instead of reasons to quit. One of the biggest excuses people use is time. They say they don't have enough time to work out, start a business, learn a new skill, or improve themselves. But the truth is, time is not the problem. Priorities are. Everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day, but not everyone uses them the same way. Some people spend hours scrolling through social media, watching TV, or doing things that don't bring them closer to their goals. If something is important enough, you will make time for it. The key is to stop making time for distractions and start making time for growth. Another common excuse is fear. People don't start because they're afraid of failure, afraid of what others will think, or afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. Fear is natural, but it cannot be an excuse to do nothing. Growth only happens when you push past fear and take action anyway. Every successful person has faced fear, but they did not let it stop them. They moved forward despite it. The more you take action, the less power fear has over you. Some people blame their lack of resources. They say they don't have enough money, the right connections, or the right education. But history has shown that some of the most successful people in the world started with nothing. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They worked with what they had and built from there. The biggest mistake you can make is thinking that you need everything figured out before you start. Success is not about having the perfect setup. It's about making progress with what you have right now. People also use their past as an excuse. They tell themselves they can't succeed because they failed before, because they grew up in difficult circumstances, or because they made mistakes. But your past does not determine your future unless you let it. Every day is a new opportunity to rewrite your story. The only way to move forward is to stop looking backward. The most successful people in the world have failed, made mistakes, and faced setbacks, but they did not let those things define them. They used them as lessons and kept going. Accountability is one of the most important ways to eliminate excuses. If you surround yourself with people who accept your excuses, you will stay stuck. But if you have people in your life who push you, challenge you, and call you out when you're making excuses, you will grow. The people who succeed don't wait for someone to come save them. They take responsibility for their actions, choices, and results. When you stop making excuses, you take back control of your life. You stop waiting for things to get easier and start making things happen. You stop blaming your circumstances and start finding solutions. You stop settling for less and start demanding more from yourself. Growth, success, and self-improvement all begin when you stop looking for reasons why you can. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Too many people see failure as a sign to stop, as proof that they are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But failure is not a reason to quit. It is a lesson, a teacher, and a necessary step in the process of growth. Every person who has achieved something great has failed probably more times than they can count. The difference is, they did not let failure define them. They used it to learn, to adjust, and to come back stronger. The problem is that most people have been taught to fear failure. From a young age, failure is seen as something negative. In school, you are punished for failing a test. In society, you are judged for failing. In business, in relationships, or in any other area of life. But failure is only negative if you let it be. If you choose to see it as proof that you should stop, then it will hold you back. But if you choose to see it as a stepping stone, as something that makes you better, then it will push you forward. The most successful people in the world have failed repeatedly. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he created the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was told he had no creativity. The list goes on and on. These people did not let failure stop them. They understood that failure is part of the process, and they kept going despite it. That is why they succeeded. One of the biggest reasons people give up after failing is because they take failure personally. They think that failing means they are not good enough or that they are not meant to succeed. But failure is not a reflection of who you are. It is simply feedback. It is telling you what didn't work so you can adjust and try again. The people who grow the most are the ones who are willing to fail, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Fear of failure stops more people than failure itself. Some people never even try because they are afraid of what might happen if they fail. They are afraid of looking bad, of disappointing others, of feeling embarrassed. But in reality, the only true failure is never trying at all. Every time you take a risk, step outside your comfort zone, or try something new, there is a chance you might fail. But there is also a chance you might succeed, and you will never know which one it will be unless you try. One of the best ways to overcome the fear of failure is to change the way you see it. Instead of looking at failure as an end, look at it as a step forward. Instead of thinking of failure as losing, think of it as learning. Every failure contains a lesson, and those lessons are what make you stronger. If you never fail, you would never grow. If everything came easy, you would never develop the resilience, the skills, and the mindset needed to succeed. One of the most powerful things you can do is reframe failure as progress. If you failed, it means you took action. It means you put yourself out there and try. That alone is more than most people ever do. Every failure brings you closer to success because it teaches you what works and what doesn't. The key is to not let failure make you stop. Learn from it, adjust your approach, and keep going. Resilience is built through failure. The more you fail and get back up, the stronger you become. Every time you overcome a setback, you develop mental toughness. Every time you push through failure, you build confidence. Confidence does not come from never failing. It comes from knowing that even if you fail, you have the strength to get back up. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. If you want to improve, grow, and reach your full potential, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. The road to success is not a straight line. It is full of twists, turns, and obstacles. But those obstacles are not there to stop you. They are there to make you stronger.